to extend a warm welcome to our guest of honor, YB Dato' Gerald Rentap Jabu, Deputy Minister YB Dato' Snodan Anak Donald Lawan, and to all distinguished guests. Our moderator for today is political analyst Professor Dr. James Chin, who is a professor of Asian Study at the University of Tasmania. Today, forum panelists are Tupong Assemblyman YB Fazzrudin Abdul Rahman, Bandar Kuching MP YB Kelvin Yi, Serembu Assemblyman YB Miro Simuh, and Ms. Joanna Su Henley Rampas from Parti Warisan Sabah. Ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately, Kota Belud MP Puan Isna Raisa Munira Majelis is unable to be with us today due to urgent work commitment. She conveys her apologies. A gentle reminder, please put your phone on silent mode to avoid disrupting the forum. We will now start the forum with a short video from TSI.
Quality education to produce effective leaders. And the government of the people. A good education makes life an exciting, lifelong journey of discovery.
TSI Leadership Program provides an opportunity for aspiring and current leaders to learn about government and its functions. The program also touches on education, environment, and integrity, among other aspects.
Gender inequality and other social issues facing women today requires bold leadership to tackle them head-on.
We live in an open society that is capable of debating ideas and engaging in intellectual discussion on any subjects that broaden our mind and free our spirit to do great things for our nation.
TSI Leadership Program takes us back in time for a glimpse of our ancestors during the Sri Vijaya and the Majapahit empires to the Dutch East India Company and the British Empire. Young people need to learn about Sarawak history to appreciate the present and set their dreams for the future.
We can try to rediscover our evolving cultures, traditions, music, ontologies, and art, and see if we could create a new dimensions to our strong identity as we enjoy diverse identities of other nations.
Leaders need to keep abreast of global events and how they shape our lives, and prepare us to face the challenges in this 21st century.
Without further ado, I wish to invite TSI Chairman, Mr. Sidi Munan, to deliver his welcoming speech.
Why is it like this? No delay. Okay, 31
Apa
frames per
serius
second.
je lah.
Audio beat.
Ladies and gentlemen, I belong to the old group. When we respect people, whatever rank, it's always ladies and gentlemen. This is age. Forgive me. They say age doesn't matter as long as the matter doesn't age. You ask my wife. On behalf of the Sarawak initiatives, I wish to welcome everybody, lots and lots of legislators, all young fellows, some of them just half of my age. The future, this is where, if we want to make Sarawak a great country, this is your job. Young people like me, out. They've done our best. I wish to express my sincere gratitude, first of all, to the lady from Sabah. There's supposed to be two ladies from Sabah. There's only one. Joanna, you can stand up, Joanna, please. Welcome. There's supposed to be two, one is K. Welcome to the land of the headhunters. They have now changed it into the land of the hornbills. So the headhunters have developed into hornbills.
I don't know why is it like this.
I also acknowledge
Same one.
the presence of honorable legislators who will be on the panel. YB Dr. Kelvin Yi, Tetla CEO, YB Miro Simuh, YB Fazzrudin, and Professor James Chin. This is our panel for today, for being so gracious to accept our invitations to the forum today. Our moderator is Professor Chin from the University of Tasmania, down under. Just in case you have not been there, Tasmania is part of Australia. This boy from Green Road has made us proud, and in fact an inspiration to TSI's young leaders. But to be successful, any aspiring leaders must have the will to succeed, not relying on the 10% of inspiration, but on the 90% of perspiration. The forum today is part and parcel of the leadership program which we started from July 2021 and ended in February 2022. The 25 lectures you saw on the screen were about major topics of national interest, ranging from the history of the formation of Malaysia to the formation of Malaysia itself and the laws of constitution, to politics, to religion, to education. You're not going to listen to me, so I'm going to hold my tongue. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Sidi Munan. I wish to also invite YB Dato Gerald Rentap Jabu to give his speech.
Good morning. I think today, Uncle CD as chairman at TSI, I must congratulate him for holding his tongue and letting me continue the speech. So, I was supposed to come as one of to sit down with you guys and to listen to the forum. But yesterday, I was given a memo by Ahmad Muhammad Premier to represent him on to come for this forum and to say a few words. So I'm here. I was given a speech, but I think I want to say what I want. So since you've given me the rostrum, so firstly, selamat pagi, salam sejahtera, salam saudaraku sayang, salam perpaduan kita dalam dalam negeri Sarawak di Kuching ini. I'd like to acknowledge and thank the chairman of Sarawak Initiative, Uncle Sidi Munan, and advisor to Sarawak Initiative and former ambassador, Honorable Dato John Tenui. Both of them, I think these two are the real people with having a lot of initiative for Sarawak, then, now, and also in the future. I also acknowledge Muhammad Dato Snowden Lawan, Deputy Minister for Tourism, Creative Industry and Performing Arts. We share the same minister as our boss. So we are here to hear and listen to topics and how we can move forward together to make Sarawak a better place and state. I also knowledge also yang bahagia Dato' Ahmad Michael Manyin, who's got a lot of experience in education, in administration, and in the government. So thank you, Dato' Ahmad. Nice to see you. All the exco of Sarawak initiative who are here. A lot of them I've known for a long time also. I also like to welcome the Professor Chin, Dr. James Chin, sorry, from to our moderator for this morning, and also the panelists, Yang Muhammad, Saudara Fazzrudin Abdul Rahman, Chief Political Secretary to the Prime Premier, Yang Muhammad Kelvin, MP Bandar Kuching, Yang Muhammad Saudara Miro Simuh, our Ketua Pemuda GPS, and also Miss Joanna Su Henley Rampas from Sabah. YB Indonesia cannot make it. I was with her last month in Estrawani debating about the future also. So it's very, very interesting that I would really love to go meet her, but I might not here. Also, I'd like to welcome everyone else here. YB Yap, and also semua I see from NGOs, from private sector, and also those. I think most important is that we have a concern for Sarawak. I think that is the real thing. Today is the second Saturday of 2023. Sarawak Initiative is doing something for Sarawak. So I want to congratulate Sarawak Initiative, give them a big clap first. It shows that we're concerned about our future. Thus, civil society comes from leadership. I agree. A society that is prominent, society that is successful, is all about leadership. And leadership is not only about experience, it's about the young people being innovative. And so thus, with a progressive society, the social political scene also changes. Democracy changes too, like today, we're in unity government, so none of you guys are in the position now, you're all with us now, so welcome, Dr. Kelvin, and all that, right? That's something that we need to go into. I think this is something really important, especially for Sarawak Kid. We are given a chance, and yesterday we were given announcement by Timbalan Perdana Menteri, the Deputy Prime Minister, that Sabah and Sarawak is recognized as a region. I think that's something that we should go and look forward to, especially being in Sarawak. Regional status is important because it means regional economic power and social political stability. That will improve us. That's where the society becomes a civil society that we are to improve. And our agenda is for a better future for all Sarawak kids. So that is something that I want to say. And a society comes from, a civilized society or successful society comes from contribution from all. So there is inclusivity. And for the government, we need to hear from everyone. But as the government that you choose, all action cannot be done just in one day. It has to come with planning, it comes with budget, and it comes with the political will that we want it to be. So that is another important thing. And I said I'm happy to have Sarawak Initiative putting up lectures and programs like this to ensure that we are more inclusive. We put up our opinion and framework, especially to the younger generation. And for the younger generation, I think when you're in your youth, you're allowed to make mistakes. When you're old like me, cannot no more. Habis semua keluar viral on TikTok nanti. So don't do it. When you're young, it's okay, right? But most important is that you must learn from it. So civility comes from experience. Experience is about getting chances. So this is where it's important. We should give our youth a lot more chances for them to be empowered, for them to give ideas, and most important for them to take action on the future of our country. I think that is important to me, and for us from the Ministry of Youth and Sports, we have a lot of data, we have a lot of programs, we have a lot of policies, but I still feel it's not enough. So we want to hear from everyone. What else can we do? If we are to aspire to be a successful nation by 2030, that's 7 years away, 6 years plus away, 2,000 over days. It's not long. We must start it from today or even yesterday to ensure that we can be there. How? And who will power this? It is the youth, the younger generation. Because by that time, I feel like Uncle CD already, hold my tongue, won't talk anymore. No point to talk. Because let them be. And the leadership in the world is getting younger and younger. And this is what we want. And with that, even yesterday, or the day before yesterday, when Yang Premier was giving his address, he says that creativity and innovation in problem solving is a new method that disrupts the normal process. And that's how you need creativity, you need leadership, you need brain power to ensure that we can progress further in what we want. Because what happened the last 2 years with COVID and all that, we don't know what's going to happen. But now I think we are more united, we are better, we can see the future with the hydrogen economy that we want to go into, with the digital economy we want to go into. It all needs brain, and it all needs a lot of support from everybody. So a vibrant civil society is powered by an educated brain mental power, which is innovative, creative, and consultative, and inclusive. So today, I'm very happy that we have this kind of initiative. I think I don't mind KCB and TSI. We can sit down again and we'll get our ministry to maybe work out some program to support TSI's initiative for Sarawak. I believe also the TSI committee, they're also young at one stage. I know Uncle Siti was very good dancer in New Zealand, I was told. So, so the John also. So this is the time. That time they were being faced with flower power revolution or whatever it is. When they come back from the studies, they also want to inculcate or instill that into what we have. That's why they have a lot tons of experience that can help, especially the younger generation, for them to not to make a mistake. So I thank them, the older generation, that led fought for a society that the younger generation can inherit in good order, gravitas, and faith. So it is an effort of all of us for the betterment of our state. Not only for Sarawak, but also Sabah included. If the Borneo states are not included together, we cannot be economic power. I think Ms. Joanne, I think you would agree with me. And with that, we wait for the forum that we will listen. I wish everybody all the best. Happy New Year. Kong Si Pachai, Sengi Koiler, Kong Si Ruyi. Thank you very much. God bless us all. Thank you.
Thank you, Abi Dato' Gerald Rentap Jambu, for the speech and for being here. Moving on to our main agenda, we wish to invite the moderator and the panelists to take their seats.
Thank you very much. I'd like to thank TSI for the kind invitation for me to moderate this session. As Dr. Rentap has mentioned, I think this is a very important forum, especially if we deal with the young people, the next generation of leaders, not only for Sarawak, but for Borneo. I think a lot of people here don't realize that this is really an important year, 2023, because this is 60 years of the Malaysian Federation. So, on the other side of the pond, I think a lot of people regard it as maybe more than 60 years, but certainly on this side of the South China Sea, we regard it as 60 years. So perhaps it's time for us to move on to the next stage of development and really ask ourselves a really key question, which is how can Borneo play a key role in the next stage of the Federation? And this is where I think the Borneo youth will play a very important role, and how we can mobilize the energy to build Malaysian new Malaysian identity and also a new Malaysian nation. As many of you in this room know, for the last 60 years, I think in terms of building Malaysia, the traffic has more or less been one way from the other side to East Malaysia. So I think perhaps in the 2023 onwards, given the fact that Sabah and Sarawak increasingly are playing a very important role, especially at the federal level, we should really, among ourselves, talk about how we can contribute to the betterment of the Federation. So that's the reason why we have a group of very, very interesting young people. Unfortunately, I don't belong to that generation. I belong to the older generation, but I'll try my best to connect with the younger generation. So perhaps we can start off with a question to all our panelists this morning. I think one of the things that we really very worry about with the young people nowadays is that increasingly, at least in my own opinion, is that young people have sort of lost in terms of the spirit of trying to do public service. I remember when I was growing up, in the school system, we were taught that it's important to do public service, to give back to the community. But when I talk to young people nowadays, I don't seem to be able to feel that they have that spirit anymore. In fact, let me just share with you before they answer the question. When I talk to young people nowadays, one of the interesting things is that for lack of a better word, they're more interested in little things. So, things like they get very excited with the launch of a new mobile phone, things like that. And, it's public knowledge. I give guest lectures at public university. Sometimes when I speak to the students, I ask them, I say that, what do you want to be? I want to be rich, so I can afford nice cars, nice hotels, nice homes. And how do you become rich? They all say muscle politics, which is not a very good culture that we want to use among young people. So with this group of young people I have to my left, I think what is unique about this group is that most of them have chosen the political route. They want to contribute back to society. So maybe with each of them, I'll give them 5 minutes to tell us their personal life story. Why did they decide to join politics? And why did they decide to contribute back to society? Can I start with you, YB?
Thank you, Professor Dr. James. Came all the way from Tasmania. From what I know from Tasmania, is the Tasmanian devil, but I don't think it's one of it. By the way, thanks for the opportunity given to me to share what should I share with you today, especially on the career path of politics that I involved in. It was started in the youth, actually. By the age of 24, I was invited by my own cousins to join politics the moment I graduated from the university. I say, like Prof. James said, we are quite have that what we call this uncertain things of politics when we were young. Especially those days we are not exposed well with politics, and I say, why not? Then. So I started my journey with the DVB youth back in, I think, 2002 by the time. So when I was there, I saw it's quite a good platform for me to start, not only about to be involved in politics, but we did a lot of other things besides politics, community service and so on. That's how it portrayed well to me that politics is not the way of life to become rich, like Professor said. So besides politics, I do involve in a lot of community service. I was a Steel Alliance member. We do a lot of community service to serve the underprivileged and the needy out there. I'm joining Alliance since 2006, and until now, helping our friends without looking at any backgrounds. We have everybody that need our help. And there are so many things that we did do. And then when we talk about the future in politics, then I see our young generations need the guidance in politics. What I say that because if you see what happens in the politics nowadays, it's not something good that can portray to the young generations. So they see politics as a messy things. But we need to think back, we need to educate them about politics, because whatever policy is created by government is coming from politicians. So whatever things happens in economy, in education, whatever it is, it's come from politicians. So if you have good politicians, we have a good government, with good governance, I think we can create good young generations in the future for our nations. So I quote a phrase from the previous president of Barack Obama of the US. He said, what we did today is not that something that we give future to the young generations. So what we did today is to prepare the young generation to face the future. So it's quite something that's synonym of what we did with TSI and so on. We prepare the young generations to see, to face the future in the next journey of their life. Because if we don't do that, I think, like Prof said, they are more interested in things like how to get money, how to do things, how to live in the modern world, how to have new gadgets, new handphones. But with those things, especially the new gadgets, the new handphones, we have to pay quite a high price for the social ills that we have around now. You know, young generation are involved in illegal gamblings online and so on. Those social ills are not good for our young generation. So we need to find a way to curb all these problems. And I hope that with ideas, with the brainstorming and the keep going program like this, will ensure us to have more ideas how to deal with this young generations in the future. That's all from me. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Where we can.
Thank you so much, Prof. James. Thank you so much, YB, Miro, for sharing your story. And good morning and subscribe to everybody. Thank you so much, TSI, for having me. For those that do not know, my name is Kelvin. I'm the current Member of Parliament for Bandar Kuching. So this is my constituency. Welcome to Bandar Kuching. This is my second term. I was elected in 2018, and at that time I was the youngest Member of Parliament in Borneo. This is my second term. I'm no more the youngest, but I think I'm the second youngest in Sarawak. And this is something that I really believe in, because I believe that young people are not just leaders of tomorrow, but they are leaders of today. And my political journey is actually very interesting, and it's actually not very long. I never really care about politics, let's be honest. When I was a student in St. Joseph, St. Joseph is, I always joke, is a politician factory, but I didn't really care about politics. What changed my mind was, I think it was in 2012. I'm trained as a medical doctor, and since I was in medical school, my friends and we formed a non-profit called the Malaysian Medical Fellowship, where we mobilize young doctors, pharmacists, dentists, volunteers to go help the poor, provide free treatment, go to disaster-stricken area to just give, and also to use our gifts for the benefit of the people. And it was in 2012 when Typhoon Haiyan hit the Philippines. And I remember that we mobilized a team to go in to help the victims of the typhoon in the Philippines. And we went into Tacloban. Tacloban was destroyed entirely. There were bodies there and everything. But the big boys already in Tacloban, the Red Cross, the Doctors Without Borders, and so on and so forth. So we were asked to go to a nearby city called Estancia. So we were 6 days in after the typhoon. And then when we reached the village, things were so devastating. When people were sick, people have not had cuts and wounds, and there were dead bodies all around. But then something shocked me. It's like they have not seen a doctor, even though it was 6 days after the typhoon. So we treated like 1,000 patients a day, 8 in the morning to late night and everything. And then we changed lives one at a time, one patient at a time, one patient at a time, and that's important. But something just clicked in me and says that why do these people not have good access to healthcare? So that's where I realized that there are policies of governments that keep people where they are, whether they are poor, whether they are oppressed, whether they are discriminated, whether they are sidelined, marginalized. There are policies of government that keeps them that way. And as much as we change one life at a time, if we do not change these policies or things that is above, things will never change for us. So that perspective started to change. Or we have good grassroots works. I'm talking about NGOs, religious bodies, Lions Club, Interact Clubs, and everything. It's good people. But then, if the policy makers do not change, we don't have this holistic transformation of society. So that is when I start to challenge myself. Kelvin, hopefully one day I will reach a position where I could bring positive change to the area of policy making. And that was in 2012. I went back, I worked, and then I did my master's so that I could better equip myself in what I was doing. And in 2016, I was YB Chong, the Member of Parliament for Mandai Kuching at that time, asked me to come back to Kuching. I was based in KL at that time. He says, come back home. We need young people. We need people to impact the change in Sarawak. And my heart has always been from Sarawak. But at that time, I'll be honest, I said no. Why? We always like, okay, politics is down the line. Kita earn money first lah. Let's be rich first. I was comfortable, I had a good job, I had good friends. My girlfriend at that time was in KL. So kenapa nak balik Kuching kan? But then something changed, something challenged me. As I said, I love Sarawak. This is my birthplace. I was born and raised in Kuching. Laksa is flowing through my veins. And I always say this, I believe that young people are the leaders of today. So I got to live what I believe. So I came back 2016, I was a full-time staff. I worked with YB Chong, and in 2018, I was given a privilege to stand for Mandai Kuching. And I find it very significant because this is literally the capital of Sarawak. And I said that I want to do the best that I can. I do not want just to be elected or given a quota just because I'm young. I do not want just to be heard because I'm young. I want to be heard or even earn the respect because of the things that I say, the things that I do. So that is where my motivation comes from, to serve the people, to be the best MP that I can be. I was elected, as I said, 31 years old. I was the youngest MP for Borneo. I was appointed as the youngest Parliamentary Select Committee for Health, and we were the most active Select Committee in the previous government. And with that, as I said, it's my challenge. And why I believe in young people, I see many young people yesterday. And I agree with Professor James. We need to find the motivation why we do things. As I said, my perspective changed when I see how policies of government affects people on the ground. So find that reason. In Japan, they call this the ikigai. The reason why you do something. A lot of young people, they want the what's. They want a new handphone, they want a new car. And it's great, I'm not saying that it's bad. But find the why do you want it. Put a vision in what you do. And for me, one of my main principles is the gifts that we have, the knowledge that I have, the ability that I have, the things that I can do is never for me, but it's for the people around. So there's no point I can be the best doctor but I do not treat somebody. There's no point I be the best engineer but I cannot build the best buildings. No point I be the best politician but I do not change lives. And that is my challenge for you. Thank you.
Thank you, YB Kevin. YB Pa?
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. First of all, I would like to extend my appreciation to TSI, to Dr. John, Dr. CD, and of course Professor for having me to be with well-known and what they call it, famous individuals from Sabah. I was holding Mandai Kuching and also by Miro. I feel honored to be seated with them. So, in short, my journey in politics, I was in St. Joseph as well with my name Kelvin, but I'm a bit older than him, and I was nominated to become the calon. I mean, I'm gonna communicate in English at Bahasa Sarawak as well. Okay. And I was nominated as a calon to be in the PRN in 2016 when I was 39 years old. At that time, I was 39 years old. When you get older, you calculate your age based on the month because you want to feel young. So at that time, I was 39 years old. And 40 that year, but like I said, when you're getting older, you calculate your age based on the month. Okay, jokes aside. So at that time, I was nominated as a calon and I won in 2016. But actually, I was involved in politics in 2001. The same with YB Kelvin, I had no interest in politics at that time. And I don't know what politics is all about. If you ask me in 1990s, what is politics? Politics is about giving speech on the rostrum and election. That's it. That's the knowledge that I have in politics. Unfortunately, in 2000 and year 1999, 2000, I was invited to join PBB youth movement in Tupok. At that time, Dr. Sri Fadilah was the youth chief. So I respectfully declined him. Said I have no interest in politics. Politics is about giving speeches, because I was a very active athlete when I was in the young years. So an athlete, they have this one kind of mentality. Okay, you go into a competition, you know your aim, you train very hard, then the result will come. It is very straightforward. And I see politics as something that's very complicating, so that's why I had no interest in politics. At that time, I was working in Dewan Usahawan Bumi Putra Sarawak as the business development executive, which is my core, my core task was to provide training for aspiring businessmen. Okay, so when the second time they invited me to join PBB, so at last I gave in. So I said, okay, I'll join. So when I joined them, then they had a couple of programs, which is free tuition for the student, and we went to a few, just a little bits and pieces of the kampung. We went to see one or two people that we think they need education, but they don't have the means to have the money to pay for tuition. So we went to see them, then we did the tuition center, then we identified problems in the kampung, small things, parit tersumbat. So what should we do? Who are the relevant agencies? So we did that, a lot of that. And I was still wondering, when are we going to start these politics things? When are we going to start the politics things? Months goes by, so I got fed up. So I asked them, hey, when are we going to start this politics things? So I said, we are doing it. They said, that is politics. That is what politics is all about. Giving your service to the people and making the best out of people. Right then, that when I understood what politics is all about, and I give up wholeheartedly my time, and I sacrifices a lot of time to do something that I like. My passion, besides sports, is politics. And what is politics? Politics as I defined earlier on just now. So that is how I got passionate to be involved actively in politics. So then, years after years, I started working with a politician, being really involved in helping the people. And thus, in 2016, I've never ever dreamt about becoming a YB. Never. I mean, it's cliche, but it really, I didn't have that plan in mind. I was thinking of, doing charitable works, building a foundation, in focusing on education, on the poor students. That was my objective, my aim. So Alhamdulillah, in 2016, Yang Mak Berhormat, the late Tok Nan, gave me the opportunity to serve more to the rakyat, which then I became the calon. And Alhamdulillah, I won. And right up until now, this is my second term. And hopefully, I was young before, like all of us. And hopefully, I can represent the younger generation. I might not be that young anymore, but I hope I can represent the voices of the younger generation for them to be heard in the higher level of administration. Because the needs of the younger generation is totally different. Different because of the different challenges that we are facing, the whole world. For instance, if we take 20 years ago, there are jobs 20 years ago that doesn't exist now. And we are expecting in 20 or 30 years down the road, there are jobs now that won't be available. So that is why it is very important for the younger generation to really tell the administration what they want and for the administration to really look and anticipate the changes that we are going to face and provide knowledge to the younger generation for them to sustain themselves in the future. Like I said, the challenges, I think one example about employment. 20 years ago, right now, there are some jobs not even available now, not even in existence now. So how can we say in 30 years down the road, there are going to be, the same job that we are looking at now will still be available in the future. So that is one of the challenges that we should be looking into, and we should equip our youth so that they are prepared to face this kind of challenges. One of which I've stated just now. I think that is my opening remark. Thank you again.
Thank you, YB. Joanna?
Good morning to everyone, Prof. Chin, and to my learned YBs here with me today. And first and foremost, I would like to say thank you to the TSI for actually inviting me today. I know this is some sort of unusual way, maybe I would say precedent, where you don't really see a lot of Sabahans who are actually come here and have a forum with the Sarawakians. But I think this is a very good start, especially for us, the younger generation. So I would like to congratulate TSI for this effort. So coming back to the question just now, why did I join politics? Well, very interestingly, I started politics, I was exposed to politics at a very young age, at about 5 years old, to which my mom was actually quite active in politics. And of course, my grandfather was the founder of a state constituency, which is called Kulu, right? And my uncle was also a state assemblyman for 3 terms. So in terms of the political exposure that I had was rather, I started at a very young age. But my idea of politics, when I go down with them, all I did there was just sit down and see, listen to their speeches. Of course, how you say, politics, I always thought about politics, standing in the rostrum and then going down to the ground, bantu rakyat di bawah and doing all this public service. That's my only understanding about politics. So it went on until that was 1995, and then, 94. I was only about 5 years old at that time. So I was already exposed to politics and meeting people and the workings of politics. So it was a very, very naive, very clean thought about politics at that time. Until I was when I went to Kuala Lumpur, everything had actually changed. And this was when I was 19 years old. I was doing my A-levels. 19 years old, it was 2008. I was in KL doing my A-levels, and it was that time when there was the general election, where Selangor, I still remember, Selangor, the Pakatan Rakyat, at that time, toppled Barisan Nasional. And I thought to myself, this was the way I still remember in Pasar Seni. Everything changed and gave me a new perspective about politics. I said, okay, my understanding about politics in Sabah is that, we were under the Barisan Nasional government from 1994 to 2018. At that time, I thought that, everything is perfect, Nobody has ever really mentioned about how politics is, everything was just bagi bantuan rakyat, we help, the poor, the unprivileged. So that was basically the idea of politics that I had. Until I went to Kuala Lumpur, and I see first, when I reached there, the stark difference of the, the buildings, the infrastructure that we had there. Secondly, when there was a big demonstration on my way in Pasar Seni, I remember I said, what is going on here in Selangor? Why are there demonstrations like this? Sabah at that time was like, that you would never hear any oppositions. There were only a few oppositions at that time, some were from DAP. I think there was 1 or 2 of them. and they would never really say much about the politics that was going on there. So that actually the first thing that opened my head, and I had colleagues around me saying that they had their own political ideas about how things were in Selangor at that time, and of course I had, and I said, oh look, in Sabah everything seems to be normal, and I think I was in that bubble where I was brainwashed saying that poverty is just pretty much normal at that point. It's like, okay, ya kita dari Sabah. I would like to mix this in bahasa Sabahan language, because I believe that there are also followers from Sabah who are actually following today live on Facebook and on my Facebook as well. So I thought at that time, I said that di Sabah tiada masalah, like all of the rakyat yang kurang berupaya will be always given privilege, bantuan, and things like that. So that was my understanding of politics. Until I actually went to Kuala Lumpur, in the UK, then I was doing my thesis. And that is where, and I was doing international law. I was really more inclined to policy makings. And there were some discussions about, discussions in university about freedom of speech. So they asked me a question, they said, oh, it seems that Malaysia doesn't have really much freedom of speech. So I said, okay, yeah, right. Yes, maybe to a certain extent, because at that time, ISA was not repealed, yeah? So they were asking me this question, and I said, well, yes. It really doesn't happen much in Sabah, because most of the grousers of different political ideologies has always been in West Malaysia. Not much in Sarawak, I suppose, but I'm talking from a Sabah perspective. You will never hear much of that. Not until, so that is where I started to see and to start researching, saying that I was questioning, and that is where all the questions started to come up. I said, okay, Sabah is a very, very rich state, rich resources, but the magnitude of poverty that we had there, then I realized that, okay, this is not how it's supposed to be. It's not on par with the resources that we have. And that has started me questioning about these things. And I said, is really politicians doing their job? I like to question things. I like to know what is the reason of a problem, and and I like to see how do we come up with a solution towards it. But I thought to myself, okay, look, I could not say anything or perhaps do anything about it. At that time, I think Facebook was not really, there was about 2011 to 12, all these things like TikTok or Instagram was not in existence at that time. So I was thinking to myself, how can I actually give my ideas and to also convey my thoughts about this? And I think the straw that broke the camel's back was in 2015. I was working in London, Stratford to West Kensington. On the way, when you come into the train, you will see the papers. You will always get this thing called the Sun papers in the morning, the free Sun papers, right? So I was sitting down there, and the first thing that was on the page was about the 1MDB case. And I said, wow, Malaysia is actually on the front page of the UK's, the Sun's newspaper. I was like, okay, this is, and for that one particular day, I went to work and they said, oh, wow, Malaysians are actually on the front page. So what's your thought about it? All my English friends, they were asking me. And I was actually thinking to myself, what on earth is going on? So that's 2015, and that is where I start really looking into, how governance is in Malaysia. I was looking at it more in a bigger perspective, okay? And then fast forward, 2016, I went back to Sabah. Well, I'm a fitness enthusiast too, when we first. So I had an injury. I had a shoulder dislocation. I had to go through so many operations. And that was the time where I spent quite a number of months in Sabah and during the recuperation period. And that is where I made Never like him. And I've known him for quite some time, but he actually invited me, and as well as his Rahman. And it was so funny that it was all, they texted me via my Instagram, my DM, and they said, "Hey, let's catch up and and see what's happening right now." And that was the time where Warisan was actually his first form. That was in 2016, October and November. So I came down and I sat down and we spoke, and that was the time where I decided, okay, fine, I do read law, and I made my decision because deep inside me, you can take a kampong, you can take me out of a kampong, but you can never take a kampong out of me, meaning that I've always had my heart in Sabah. So that is why I decided, I said, okay, I'm not going to work in the UK anymore. I resigned from UK, I came back and I said, whatever this is, because my mom was telling me, I said, why on earth did you actually resign from the UK? I mean, for God's sake, UK, you're earning pounds, you were doing quite okay. And she said, why are you doing this? She was questioning me, my family was questioning me, and to be fair, my family's background, most of them are from PBS. And I was, I said, okay, it's okay, I'll just go against them. There was a lot of commotion within the family at that point, and I said, look here, this is the time, this is the only platform that I think, for me personally, if you want to do a reform, you need to be in a certain position to make policy changes. Exactly what Dr. Kelvin had said. You have to be in a position where you can make policy changes in order for you to make a difference in the society. So I said, okay, fine. There are lots of political parties, and of course we know in Sabah you have like more than 26 political parties there. I think that's the, I mean, we are very, how can you say, we are very, there's a lot of them, you can have so many to choose from. But I was looking for something that that was very close to what I was looking, my vision for the state. I love Sabah, okay? And I would say to myself, we need to look for, I have to look at a platform where it really, brings change, fight for the rights of Sabah, and that is where I realized that, okay, why not just join Warisan, because it was a new party at that time. And that was 2016, and I never looked back, and here I am right now, still being in politics. It is not an easy task. I first thought politics was like, okay, you just being there, become public service, bagi bantuan, or going there and even talk about sumbat parit, you have to deal with how parit tersumbat is. That was my initial thought about it, and especially being a woman, I have to say this, since I'm the only rose between the thorn ears. I have to be point blunt that as a woman, it is also challenging for you to be in politics. It is. It could be accurate at times, especially when you are in a group of society where there are more men. Sorry, yes, yes, more men. And there's only a handful of women. I mean, look at the parliament that we had. The parliamentary women that we have right now, 14%. It's not much difference from the previous general election that we had. No increase. Okay, and in Sabah per se, we only have 9% of women. All right, so it's not an easy battle. Some people say, "Are you crazy? I think you are mentally crazy for you to actually enter politics." But I said again, and I believe what Fazz said. You have this mentality when you are an athlete, and for myself as a fitness enthusiast, you have a goal to achieve. And that mindset that you want to finish a thing and really hit the goal, and for my participation in politics is to have and to see a prosper and good future for Sabah. And that is why I'm joining politics today. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So I think it's quite obvious that all of you have a very strong sense of public service, wanting to serve with YB Fast. You're actually doing it without realizing it. But I think we also agree that among the young people nowadays, this sort of spirit is sort of lacking. They do not want to do public service anymore. So I suppose the question is, how do we get more young people, especially from Sabah and Sarawak, and especially from the women, as Joanna has mentioned, they're really underrepresented in the political process. I'd like to go around and ask you, how should we do it, and what can we do? What are the steps that we can do to bring more young people into the public service? YB first, maybe we should start with that.
Thank you, Professor James. Okay, how do we inculcate the culture to the younger generation to increase their interest in their participation in volunteerism or public service? But first of all, we need to identify some of the challenges or problems that we are facing. Why are they not interested? So maybe one, because of the latest global technology, the way we live right now, which is so close to the digital technology. It is a necessity right now for people to communicate. It's all about the how many likes that they have that really give them that satisfaction, how many friends and how many followers do they have. That is the challenges that we are facing right now. That is the acknowledgement of the younger generation right now. So we have to accept that fact. That is part of their life. We cannot discredit it. We cannot tell them, look, stop browsing, stop talking to your friends through internet. That is their way of life. We need to embrace that first. Okay, secondly, how do we use that to achieve our objective, which is to make them to inculcate the interest in them to do social works, volunteerism work. Through my experience, I've come across this group of youngsters or this group of youth. They are so into digital equipment, but at the same time, it is not so difficult to bring them out to do social works. It's just that we are not providing them enough platform or enough information to tell them what is volunteerism is all about. I have youth or young people talking about the environment. I have youth talking about the humanitarian works that's been done in Kosovo, in the European country, in the Middle East. These are the people from my kampung. You know, they are exposed to a lot of information, and they like and they take that as the role model or the standard of the youth, what youth should be doing. And youth overseas, they are doing a lot of humanitarian work, you know, social services. So they want to do that as well, but it's just that they don't know where to start. They don't know how to do it. They want to do it, they don't know how to do it, where to get the fund. What should we do first? You know? So that's why it's important for us to really strengthen this culture in the education system from the early education. Daripada tadika kema, from the school, we are looking at how policies help to inculcate. Besides, we the politicians doing the program to invite them to be with us. I come across one program, Membersih Pantai. You know, they open it up in Facebook, so who wants to come and join us, and they receive a lot of feedback from the younger generation, and they come voluntarily without asking for apa bayar, makan minum kan. They came, they assisted, they mingle around, they get new friends, then they go back. That's it. I'm still not that concerned about the passion of the youth to do social work, but we really need to have a platform to provide for them, and we really need to assist and guide them at first. Maybe lepas ya, they can do it by themselves, you know, they can create their group of people to expand, and I'm hoping to to see that youth in Sarawak, in Malaysia, in Sarawak, for instance, looking at social work outside of Malaysia to really gain their experience, to really look at the global perspective of things, and to come back and assist the Sarawak here. So that's my take on it.
Thank you, YB Fast. What about you, YB Miro? I mean, what is your experience with trying to bring, for example, more Bidayu youth into public service? How do you reach out to them?
I'll see two things that to convince this group of youngsters to join the public service or the community service. Two perspectives that I can see now. The first one is from the educational perspective, and the second one is from the social fabric perspective that we have. I think education is because it must start from schools that on how we teach or expose our children, our students to social service, to bring them along. Still remember when I was in Lions and until now, we did quite a small project, but it's so meaningful. We went to the rural schools. We only distribute this center, the deworming syrups to all the students in schools that stay in the hostel. It's not a big project actually, it's a small project. So cheap, we got the sponsors from pharmacies that help us, So we distributed it all rural schools in Padawan, in Surya, in Bau area, and then it's so meaningful when the teacher give good response saying that, oh, our children are so good now, they don't look pale, and then some of them even pergi berak ada cacing keluar, things like that, So, getting the small project was so beautiful, but we must start it from the school. So we brought with us a few students from the secondary school surroundings and show them this is the way we did it, on social service. Then Taiwan, then they keep following us, doing social service and so on, and they are so adamant to do it. Then they being part of the program in what we call the Young Lions, the Leos. Then they join Leos, then they become, when they're senior enough, they become the Lions. So not only that, in politics also we do the same thing. We bring our youth, we bring our women wings to do a lot of social programs. We help the needy. There's a lot of people bedridden around the kampongs. We give wheelchair, we give assistance, we give diapers and so on. So we encourage people to do this because anyway, we are helping each other. We are helping our own human being around. That is what happens. So education is very important for us to portray and to convince the young generations to involve in social service. So that one is from the social fabric that we have. The social fabric perspective would see that if you see in Sarawak and Sabah, we are so unique. We come from a different background, but we don't see colors, race, and religions. Even the Malay just can have a coffee in Chinese shops, then maybe they take laksa from the Chinese shops. That is common happening in Sarawak. Maybe in Sabah also the same. So from this tolerance, we can tell our people that come on, don't limit yourself to serve only one race, to serve only one or two race, but we are more broader than that. Yeah. So we bring them along. Our Malay counterpart or Chinese counterpart, let's go to Bidayu area, let's go to Iban area to serve the community. Yeah, we did it. The same with our 4x4 clubs. We went up to Lukapit, we went up to Kanoin, go to the longhouse, we bring the youth clothes with us, they give to the kampung people, as well as some other amenities that need by the kampung people. Those are the things that we did. We not only using political group, but we can use so many other groups that willing to do with needs. So these are the group that concentrate the most with people. We have 4x4 group, we have Lions Club. We have so many NGOs out there that we can help. Even from the Badayo perspective, we have DBNA, Badayo National Associations. You can work with them. We have Sadia in Niban, we have the Malana, we have Wanamulu associations that we can work. Where we can reach out the people in the rural, especially that need the help actually from the social service around. So those are the things that we can do. So don't limit ourselves just in the name of race, religion, and so on. Because this is strong. This is our, the social tolerance are so high. So keep doing it. I think we can educate our future generations too about being tolerant, be around with everybody, so we can create a harmonious society in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Joanna, I think you raised a really important point about not only about public service, but the fact that we need to bring more young women into not only the political arena, but infuse this spirit of public service. So how should we go about doing it? As a young leader yourself, how should we do it? And can we do it?
Yes. I would like to answer your last question. Can we do it? Yes, we can. Yes, very, very confident, yeah. But it can't be just alone, but it needs to have a collective support from not only from politicians, but from also women from NGOs. Everybody has to come together. But it's also, things have to be involved as well. It's not only the women who needs to voice out, but the men also have to understand that, the world cannot move on without having men and women together, working together, right? So I believe that there has to be a gender equality, not only in politics, but in anything, in the corporate society, in many other facets of careers. But I think coming back to the question of how would you get more, how would you, invite more of this young women and men to be involved in politics, I think there are two things that we have to see here. First and foremost, I have to say that the idea, until I joined politics, the idea of politics of public service, it is of course, that is what we've seen in real life. But politics could be very colorful, especially that's not very uncommon in Sabah. And I think I think that a political institution must be prepared to evolve, all right? And we need more vibrant and brilliant young people to engage with, right? Men and women. And I believe there is a compelling need for political organizations or any organizations to have an agenda that defends the democratic system that we have now, right? An identity, a political identity, or any kinds of identity that promotes good governance. I think this is the foundation. But I think a lot of young people right now, even myself, when you look at all political instability has started especially in 2020 here in Malaysia. That is all where it started. Of course, for Sabah, it's a way longer than that. The introduction of political jump here and jump there, frogs and stuff like that. I would say in a very harsh way. Mostly started in Sabah, right? And I think that if you want to have like a real training of politic grounds, I think Sabah is actually one of the areas that you would go to. But jokes aside, I think a lot of the young people are just sick and tired of the political conundrum that we have right now. That is it. This is a generation post-COVID. We, like myself, because all of you are still young here, the gentlemen here, my learned gentleman friends are young as well, and everyone here is young too. Young at heart, in mind. But then what we want actually is good governance. We want to prosper, not only Sabah and Sarawak, but Malaysia. What we want to see is a prosperous country we want to move forward. And once we were called the tiger of Asia. And now what? Kita macam kucing Asia sudah. It's true. Even maybe kucing Asia. You know what I mean? Vietnam, they're doing well. Look at Indonesia, how they are right now under Jokowi's administration, of course. But you know, I mean, Singapore, for example, you see, they're doing really well. And we are here still talking about who wants to become the prime minister, who wants to become the chief minister, who wants to become, because you won't have a premier there, but here is fine. Who wants to become the government, this and that whatsoever. So there is that democracy system that needs to be respected, and it all comes from the leaders first. You have to be honest and sincere. When you enter politics, you have to have the real mindset that, okay, I join politics. Yes, politics can all happen during the election time. You hentam sana, hentam sini, whatsoever. Of course, for the good, right? But let it be during the campaign period. But what the rakyat wants actually is a prosperous, and what can you offer us? What can you do for uplifting our community? And the young people, and I've been talking to the young people in back in Sabah during the election. And very interestingly, Prof. Chin, and I asked them, I said, and I like what YB Miro has actually said about education is very, very important. You see? When I asked them, I said, you mau undi siapa? I mean, kau mau undi? I said, yeah, mau undi kali ini. I mean, I don't know how this lowering the voting age has actually made any much difference in Sabah. Right? I'm talking from a Sabah perspective. Obviously, here in Sabah, in Sarawak, you have a different political strategy. I mean, it's very deep-rooted society, very Sarawak-based party. Sabah was different, and I asked them, I said, kau mau undi ni kali? Yeah. So I just randomly asked, I said, so what are you going to vote? Apa bapak saya suruh, itulah saya undi. I was thinking to myself, okay, this is very worrying. And it was not only 1 or 2 or 3 person who actually said that. And they asked me a question. I was very shocked when they asked me, if I were to vote for someone else, I'm afraid that my parents will actually know that I didn't vote for the person that they were expecting me to vote. And I think that the education system that we have now, when lowering the age to 18, it's fine. I mean, I think the 18 years old should have the same. I mean, they need to have the same. But I don't think that the education has equipped them to actually really understand what the democratic system is all about. That is how I see it. Had it actually made an impact during the last general election? You can see the lady nodded left and right. For me personally, I stood in a constituency that was very hot. There was 5 ministers. Chief minister was there at that time. Okay, it was not an easy task for me, but I was put in that situation. I said, come what may, you want to make a difference, you want to be in politics, let's just do it. Whatever the situation is. I brought, the things that need to be changed in that place. But obviously, maybe it's not my time. It's time to become a YB. Hopefully soon. Hopefully. We'll see. But then, what I see here is that there were 2 things. Number one, a lot of the young generation, especially the new voters that we have, they have this mentality, the saying that siapa saya undi, siapa yang bagi saya bantuan minyak, you know what I mean? Nah, itulah saya undi. Yeah, duit minyak, that's the thing. Duit makan, duit esan. So that's good. And this is something that I actually learned. It's a term like duit esan untuk tolong-tolong kami lah supaya datang. And I was like, this is not what election is supposed to be. And we here, seated here, we are, with all due respect, all of our senior leaders here, Prof. Chin, we need your wisdom. But of course, the younger generations like us will have to continue to also educate our future generation. I can see this, that if this goes on, Prof. Chin, this is going to be a systemic failure. And it will go on and on and on. And money politics, I'm telling you, really brings a downfall to prosperity and to uplift the community. That is what I'm very concerned. So I think there are two things that we need to do here. First and foremost, you need to educate the community, because there is a very high tolerance of corruption now in our society. For us, I can see the younger generation right now, they find it but duit minyak is something that is a norm. Or duit untuk yang you bagi ini, I undi you. It is some sort of a norm, and that is wrong. And this is what we need to change, especially us. Why we are called here today, we are the agent of change. We are the agent of change, and everyone was seated here. I can see a lot of young people as well, aspiring leaders behind them. We need to do this together. We are here today because I believe that each and every one of us have a vision for a better, not only for Malaysia, but for Sarawak and for Sabah and for us, the Borneo states. This is what we want. And they need to continue to reject corruption, not just because that's saying that, the law will punish, but this is our responsibility to actually create a society and set values of how it should be in the next 10 to 20 years to come. And I believe that this is how we're going to prosper, and then only you can see more young women and men will join politics. Until, I think good governance is the foundation. Everything, if you have honest, you have really your high integrity leaders, you have to lead. We all have to lead by example. And when we set that goal, we set when we set that standard, and I believe the society will also follow. This is what I hope for our future, especially in the Borneo states, and especially in Sabah for myself. And hopefully we will see more young women and men will be joining, not only politics. If everyone is going to become a politician, the world's going to be a chaos. But in any expertise that you have. Maybe some of you are economists, some of you are in law, some of you here are more into teaching. You can always contribute to our society in our different expertise that we have. So, but what we need right now, as young generation, all of us are seated here today, is that we need to have a clear vision. You see, when you don't have a clear vision, people will just perish. Our society will just perish. So what we need right now, and I'm very, very happy, especially to see both the Sabahans and Sarawak. I'm the only Sabahan here, and a friend of mine behind there. But of course, when Miro said that he has a very, he's also married to a Sabahan. So he would understand how things are. So I would say that he's also, that's part of understanding of Sabahans, at Sabah for me. But I think that as for Borneo states, as for Borneo leaders, you see, I would consider Sabah and Sarawak two non-identical twins. How would I say two non-identical twins? We share the same, we come from the same island. We share the same demographics. But of course, there are certain things that we don't share, let alone the political administrations that we have are totally different. But I think that this type of forum, this bilateral forum that we have, discussions that we have, we need to be inclusive, we need to be participative, and what we want is, I think we share the same, our struggle is pretty much the same. We always, be very, very, very loud in Parliament, of course. When Kelvin is in Parliament, and I can hear him always talking about, getting 35% more seats in Parliament, for Sabah and Sarawak, which is correct. We need to have more voices. And what I hope that, rather than working in silo, but we, the young generation, could create a cohort of new leaders and to see how we can move on together. Obviously, we have our own ways, but I hope that we can get more young people and women, more young women to actually enter, politics and as well other expertise as well.
Thank you, Joanne. Kelvin, how should we bring more young people into public service?
What else is there more to say? Coming in last, being a politician, I'll just summarize and make it sound like it's from me. Okay, I'm just going to be really quick. I have 5 main points where I believe how do we engage young people and also inspire them to not just politics but public service as general. Number 1, we have to be relevant. I think we need to speak the language of young people. This is something that many intergenerations do not understand. Because we do not understand, we fear them or we marginalize or we set them aside. But learning their language is important, telling them why their voice or what goes around them influence them is what our challenge is to be. So I'm a politician, and when I speak to young people and I explain why politics matter, just trust me when I speak to young people, majority of them are politics, I don't care about politics. Politics to them is what happens in the newspaper. But the reality is the moment they wake up from bed, politics happens. You may not give another adjective about politics, but politics give concern about you. So, for example, you wake up from bed. Once you walk to, the song you always say, bangun pagi, gosok gigi, sebelum gosok gigi kena buka pipe kan? Kalau buka pipe, tak ada air keluar, that's politics. Because it's bad policies in terms of health. Exactly. Kalau water come out, but it's tarik water, that's politics. Exactly. You pergi sekolah, pakai baju, tak ada baju dah pakai, that's politics. You go to which school, whether you get quality education, you get discrimination in school, you get madras in school, that's politics. You want to marry a wife or a husband, that's politics. So the reality is this, you not mind game, Facebook and everything, data protection, media control, freedom of speech, that's politics. Everything is relevant, and we've got to speak that language to young people and make them understand. And we need to find that. Just because they may seem to not understand, we do not put up with them. Number 2, I think we as leaders need to set an example. As I said, I believe that young people are the leaders of today. And I, as a young leader, I need to set an example. I believe that, for example, how do I inspire young people to enjoy or join politics? I need to show them that I am a good politician. You don't need to agree with the ideology or the party that I represent, but I want to show that the politics that I practice is a politics that is good, constructive, positive, and bring impact to wherever I'm from. So, same. You see, every time you talk about politics, young people think about what? Scandal, drama, political instability, sex tapes. That's not what politics is about. Politics is about, as I said from the beginning, it's about policies. Yes, we mentioned about serving people, bagi nasi, it's important. But what is the macro picture? It's about making policies of nations that lift people from where they are to what they can be. And this is our main job as politicians. So politics is about policies. It's boring, but that is my personal aspiration. I want to make politics boring again. Enough with the drama. Let's talk about policies. My background is healthcare. That's why in Parliament I talk a lot about healthcare. I don't catch the headlines because media they like maybe like dramas. I don't catch the headlines, and it's okay because that's the politician I want to be. That's the example I want to set the young people. And we talk about education. Education is so important. I'm not disputing that, but we need to take a level higher. We need to inspire young people into not just politics, into public service. Why do we do public service? Because there is the ikigai I mentioned just now, there's the why, there's the vision. We need to inspire. Number 3, we as leaders in our position we need to mentor the young people. You know, this is my wife is a clinical psychologist, and we grew up in a society, and we have to acknowledge this. That there is very distance between the family, the father, and the children. And there is a cry for young people for a father. Okay, I'm not saying biological, but mentors, leaders, role models. And we are in now, we have that role to mentor, to teach them to think bigger than themselves. The reason why young people nowadays only think about the what and what they can get is because they think, okay, I kena jaga sendiri, kau kaki, take care of myself. But then you see there's something bigger. As I said just now, the gifts that you have, the knowledge that you obtain, it's not for you, but it's for others. There's no point you gain medical knowledge but you do not treat somebody. You gain law if you do not defend somebody. Your gifts are for others, and I encourage you. So one of the things that I love doing is to mentor. I have interns in my office. A lot of young people come and they see me doing what I do. And the best way to guide them is show them I'm not perfect. I make mistakes. Because I think young people are not looking for superheroes. They're looking for real people that are in our imperfections, in our impurities. We serve and we do our best and what we can do. Number 4, we need to set a platform for them. I believe in what we first mentioned just now. Actually, you ask every young person, to a certain extent, they want to help something. It's just that they do not know what. Find them, educate them, inspire them, and give them that platform. Whether it is an NGO, whether it's your MP office, admin office, and so forth, political party, we give them a platform. And the last, you got to believe in them. See, a lot of people, okay, I bagi you chance, but actually behind they will fail one, they'll fail one. You got to believe in them and allow them to fail and make mistakes and learn from it. And I'm going to end in this, and don't get me wrong. I know that Uncle CD just now mentioned at the speech, with respect, Uncle CD, I disagree. When you said that, the best for Sarawak is for you guys, I disagree. Why? The best for Sarawak, the best for Malaysia, and the whole world is it takes an intergenerational effort. You see, we are standing here because of giants like you all that have built the foundation before me. I stand on your shoulders. And that is why we need, as we release the newer generation, we got to believe in them. And older people, this is my observation. And I always tell this to people, older people, and even in politics in Malaysia, this is my personal opinion, I'm not speaking for any party. My personal opinion, Malaysian politics will change if there is a generation change. And for that generation change, old people need to let go. Young people, we need to hold on. When things get tough, we need to hold on. When things don't go our way, we need to hold on. If things feels like, we need to hold on. Trust me, I was a first-term MP last year when Sheraton happened. I was discouraged. I was like, what is going on? And I was like, and then the things, I try my best to do certain things, and then the criticism or the things that's happening, I was like, why am I even doing this? I could be more comfortable doing something else. People say you become rich being a politician. I was becoming poorer. I don't understand. Maybe I joined the wrong, I don't know what. But then, in tough times, young people, we need to hold on. So a lot of young people, when they find something difficult, they kerja kena marah bos, change jobs. Kena marah bos, tak ada, change jobs. I main this game, I change this. And you never hold on, you never experience the pain of going through that. So again, my final observation is, young people, let's learn to hold on. And older people, learn to let go. But we work to complement one another, not compete with one another. I hope that helps Uncle CD, and I learned so much from your experience. And I'll end with these remarks. Young people, and I'm a politician, so I speak with this. Let us go this journey. Let us make politics boring again.
Thank you, Kelvin. So the final round of questions is a sort of a wider question. As I mentioned at the start of this forum, we are at a very special time. Malaysia is celebrating 60 years of the Federation. And for the very first time, Sabah and Sarawak are in a position to change things. So we look at the federal cabinet now, right? Our representation is 25%. In terms of deputy ministership, it's almost 50%. But at the same time, it is common knowledge that politics in Peninsular Malaysia is increasingly becoming more toxic. And as I mentioned earlier, for the last 60 years, in terms of politics, it's more of West Malaysia trying to export their brand to Sabah and Sarawak. And now perhaps it's time for us to sort of export from Sabah and Sarawak towards Peninsular Malaysia. So the last question going around is really, what can we do now that we are at the very highest level of government? And also this comes back essentially to the issue of Malaysian identity. What is the Malaysian identity? Because for the past 60 years, where does Sabah and Sarawak sit in terms of Malaysian identity? I suppose the short answer is that sort of ignores the Malaysian identity is defined by what we define as the Malaysian identity. So the question for all of you as young leaders, where does the Sabah and Sarawak identity sit within the Malaysian identity? What is Sarawak identity? What is Sabah identity? And how do we shape or bring Malaysia back to a more moderate path? So it's a very difficult question. Unfortunately, I can only give you 5 to 7 minutes. So you have to be very, very sharp. So I'd like to give Joanna the first.
I guess it's ladies first now. How do I see, how we gonna get the national identity? How we gonna build a Borneo identity, a Sabah identity, Sarawak identity. For me personally, I think Sarawak it's something that we as Sabahans will have to learn. Yes. The reason being is that, I have to see how things were done, especially during the state election that we had last year. It is very clear that the Sarawakians are very united. They're very united, and they sort of have an idea, and perhaps they semangat patriotism itu sangat tinggi sebagai orang Sabah. And when I look at that, and I said, when will be a time Sabah will actually also reach that? I'm talking from my heart actually, and this does not it does not represent for my stance from a party, but this is my personal opinion as a Sabahan. And if you see, and I agree with what Prof Chin has said, that this is the generation, this is the time where the West is already looking at us, Borneo, Sabah and Sarawak. And why? And I have to give credits to all the senior politicians that we have. Again, what Dr. Kelvin has said, that, the veterans, or the ones who are more, they're duluan makan garam, we say, in politics, have actually, opened the path. And we have to thank our forefathers who actually, seen what are the rights and what are the safeguards, especially when we formed Malaysia in 1963. And we must remember, there is no Malaysia now if there was no Sabah and Sarawak. We are the ones who actually, we form and join with Persekutuan Tanah Melayu together, and we form Malaysia. But of course, even so, we are Malaysian, but we are very diverse, especially in Borneo, Sabah and Sarawak. We share the same, demographics. We have more than 36 ethnics in Sabah. I believe here you have more than that, a lot of ethnics too, right? And again, there is now more than one ethnic that goes more 40%. So the tolerance levels between Sabah, the race issues in Sabah and Sarawak is rather moderate. We can sit down all together, as what Miro has said. But I think what is important in all of this is actually educating the future generation. And I like to pinpoint about an issue that we share together, which is the Malaysian Agreement 1963. Both states are bringing this up in Parliament, State Assembly, be it Sarawak, be it Sabah, and in Parliament. Okay? And we share the same thing. And I hope that the younger generation will actually really understand our history about how we formed Malaysia, Sabah and Sarawak, Borneo states. If you ask random questions to a young person right now, what is MA63? Obviously, everybody here would know what is that. But let's just ask Joe on the street saying that, kamu tahu ke apa MA63? you tahu apa itu pembentukan Malaysia. There was an interesting video that we did, some of the activists in Malaysia. Maybe one day I could share with you, Prof. Chin. They actually did just a random question in the streets of Kota Kinabalu, Lahadatu, and Awam. And they were asking and saying that, kamu tahu apa itu Malaysian, itu perjanjian Malaysia? Tidak tahu. Tahu apa perjanjian Malaysia? Tidak pernah dengar. Apa itu? Right? So I would consider myself, and I think I'm guilty about it too. I only started learning about the rights of, the Borneo, Sabah and Sarawak only when I entered politics. I mean, the education system, I have to be blunt, but the education system that we have right now, the history education that we have right now is predominantly, mostly on Persekutuan Tanah Melayu's history. But there is not much of history that is written in the textbooks when it comes to Sabah and Sarawak. Can you actually see the Cobalt Commission in the textbooks? The textbooks that I look at right now was the same textbook that I was learning a couple of years back. It's still the same green textbook, I would say. And I asked them, I said, ini textbook masih sama dengan saya punya. So, and important things like the Cobalt Commission, the IGC report, the safeguards of Sabah and Sarawak, the Reed Commission. Clearly, that's the rights of the Sabahans. It was not written in the history, and you think that, of course, our hope is to get the lawmakers to change the law and to add more of Malaysian, how Malaysia was formed, what are the safeguards, and all more details about this. And I remember when I actually took the initiative to go to a bookstore. I was very, very curious about this. I'm very curious. I want to know what's happening. So I went to this bookstore and I had to see this book, Pengajian Malaysia. So I opened the book and I see. It was only, I think, like 2 or 3 lines of when it comes to, people of the Sabah and Sarawak issues there. They would just say that, Sabah ada 20 poin, lepas tu Sarawak 18 poin. Itu saja, nothing much. It doesn't elaborate more. Correct me if I'm wrong, but all I can remember in that particular textbook, formation of Malaysia was only why Malaysia was formed, how many when they did the referendum for the Common Commission. It's only only one third that actually agreed to the formation of Malaysia. Another part did not agree to it. Another part was clueless, of what formation of Malaysia was. And I'm sorry to say, but I only learned about this when I got into politics. I had the privilege to become the political secretary to the Sri Safi Abdul when he was in Warisan. He was the CM at that time, 2018. And that was the time where Article 1.2 was brought into Parliament, right? To change the the status of Sabah and Sarawak as equal partners. That all happened at that time. And then I said that, okay, this is the time where us, the leaders, will have to understand and to know your history before you actually enter into politics. Besides public service, Professor Chin, I think leaders need to also understand history. The rights didn't come out from a vacuum and just came out like that. There's compromise, there's discussion, there's continuous discussion in the 1960s, to which then we have the rights now. And of course, we are all talking about the rights are not being, implemented, and I truly agree, we're all lag behind when it comes to, implementations around where we are right now as Sabahans and Sarawak, especially the Borneo states. So for me, I think there are 2 things here. Number 1, the young people must be educated in this. I'm very sure maybe the policymakers in federal and the education, syllabus, I won't see any change, perhaps in the buku sejarah, anytime soon. But if that cannot be done, I am very positive, and I'm very sure that all of us here, and I also believe, I would like to say this too, Prof. I realize that the arguments of the rights in MA63 are only the conversations among the elites and among the educated and those who are interested. When you ask the majority of people, I'm talking from the Sabah perspective. When you ask the majority of people what MA63 is, they have no clue about it. What are our rights? They have no clue about it. And this is sad, because this is our history. This makes us, Malaysia and as well as the Borneo states. So I think education is very important, and we are the agent of change. We are the ones who have to disseminate, and I understand, because part of them are not really interested in it. I was first not interested in looking at it because the thickness of the book, they were still using the typewriter, those 1960 typewriters. It's not computerized. When I was looking at it, I think I only lasted like 2 or 3 pages, and I said, am I dyslexic or what? It was just too complicated. But I think there needs to be a way as well to make this, the fight, and then where this is going, to disseminate it in a way that our people would actually understand, especially the younger generation would understand. And it is our responsibility to also always educate the future generation. When you know your rights, you know your identity, you have an identity, Sabah and Sarawak and Borneo states. And I think that this is the time that we, Sabahans and Sarawaks, we can also be on par. We are talking about equal partners. Now this is a time as well that we can also show that we are real equal partners. We know our rights and we want our rights, and let us prosper together. And that's for me.
Thank you, Kelvin. Thank you. Well, Miro, what is Sarawak identity to you, and how can we help to create this new Malaysia identity to help Malaysia back to the path of moderation?
Thanks, Prof. Again. If we're talking about 60 years old nations, talking about nations is considered quite a young nations. My father is today 96 years old, still happy at home. Living in different era, Brooke era, Japanese era, British era, and now Malaysia. That's what I see. Being 60 years old, what kind of identity did we bring on? I'm talking about political identity. Let's say we talk about Sabah first. Things happened in 1994 when I was a student in ITM Sabah. PBS was formed, government at the time, with I think 12-seat majority. Only within 6 days, government changed. Then those are the moment when the terms kata started to be used in Sabah, And then, and it was 16th of the adults, then jumping to UMNO. Then UMNO formed the government. That's how history happened in Sabah. From that moment, 1994, right in Sabah now, when UMNO was there, what kind of identity did Sabah have? Demographic change, population change. In about less than 10 years, population in Sabah increased about 800,000. And they have the record saying one family gave birth 45 children. Just imagine from where this population came from. So what kind of identity to bring? Who bring those identity? The federal government that brought up all those identity. But in Sarawak, we are quite lucky. We thank our forefathers leaders, we thank our previous leaders that protect us until now. we don't let UMNO come to Sarawak until even now. If not, we might be like Sabah. So that's the identity that we have. We thank you from the era of ANC Mom and YB Dato' Gerald Father and Dato' Sri Mike, Dato' Amar Michael is here, you know. They will protect us. They told the federal, they told the UMNO, it's not best for you in Sarawak. So this is the identity that we have in Sarawak. We should protect Sarawak from any intruders that want to kacau us. This is the identity that we want. I've talked quite a short with Professor James just now about what should we do to protect this. Yeah. I know it's all in the hands of the future generation of Sarawak. We are not that young, even though I'm 50, 40 plus. We are not that young. Because age is continuing. Yeah? We are not that young. We are not getting young, but we are getting old. So I hope that the young generations be prepared to protect what we have now, tomorrow, and the years to come. So we prepare you well. That's why we ask most of the young generation to come over to share what we have today in the political dominance or whatever it is. So please learn more. Don't afraid to be in politics because you are not living in a ghost world. No. We are living in the reality of the world. Because politics, like YB Dr. Kelvin said, is happen every single second in our life. Decisions that happen every single second in our life comes from politics. So when we talk about the federal government, the fairness that they give to us, I will say that it's not fair. We have been depriving all this while with the policies. Even if you see the parliament seats, we have 222 parliament seats. Sabah and Sarawak only got about 26 plus Labuan, Sabah. Then we have 31 from Sarawak. That's not what we have. Not even 2, not even 30%, 25% of the seats that we have. So these people can make their own decision on us in parliaments if they wanted to, without referring to us. So, like I say, the young generation must understand this. Back to history. Young generations must learn history the most. Without history guidance them, they will think that there's nothing to do with us. And take things for granted. Then they don't see future. They see only money on the tables today. No. If the future collapses, they don't see money on the tables in the future. So I hope that with all the veterans that we have, the most experienced people that we have in this room and aside, and blended with all the expertise like Prof. James and the rest of us, we can share more in our young generations. This is what Sarawak should be. And Sabah should change what they have now. If Sarawak can be Sarawak first, I hope Sabah also can be Sabah first. I say that because I sleep with the Sabahan girl every night. One. Okay. So part of my love in Sabah. I see, those are the things that we can share. Please, our young generation. I hope, I beg to you, don't affect about politics. Yeah? Concern about our own state. Bring our own identity as Sarawakian and Sabahan too. Yeah? That is the most. Fight, keep fighting till we gain what we want. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, YB. Kelvin, what is Sarawak identity to you, and where does Sarawak sit in the Malaysian identity, and what can we do to moderate the path of Malaysia?
Thank you so much, Prof, and thank you so much for the sharing from Joanna and from Miro. And I'd like to expand a little bit from what they shared and what I see from the position that I am. We know after the past general election, we are in an unprecedented moments. Suddenly, there is no political coalition had a majority. So there was a reliance on political coalitions. This is something new in Malaysia, but of course, in other developed countries and developed democracy, this is something that actually happens quite often. But the danger that was concerning, especially after this election, was the rise of, in my view, religious conservatism. And this is where I believe that even us in our coalition, tough decisions have been made. Do I like sitting with certain people within our coalition? Of course not. I will be fully honest, I'm speaking for myself. But then there was a danger that the social fabric of Malaysia could be challenged if certain coalitions come to power. And this was openly advocated during the election with little action taken against them. So that is where I actually posted publicly, and it was carried by the media right after the election. And Faz and I, we are friends, and we have always talked about, even though we are from different political parties, but we need to find titik bersama, a collaborative spirit to push things that we believe is best for Sarawak and of course best for Malaysia as a whole. And I believe that one of the biggest assets that Sarawak has is the spirit of moderation. And we are a bit more centrist. And I think moving forward, this is what we need. Because I've always said this, Sarawak cannot prosper if Malaysia is corrupt. Sarawak cannot prosper if Malaysia has incompetent leaders. Sarawak cannot prosper if Malaysia has racist leaders. So that is why we are somehow intertwined and interrelated. We cannot just, in my view, again, we cannot just be parochial in our view to think that we want to protect Sarawak for the sake of protecting. I mean, I'm not going against it. I agree, we need to protect Sarawak. But my challenge is this, and this is my personal challenge. Instead of just protecting Sarawak, how do we expand Sarawak to Malaysia as a whole? Because you see, leadership for me is about influence. We as Sarawakians, we have so much to expand, to show example, to be role models. There is a reason why I'm in the party that I'm in. You know, in political elections, people always say, I'm in Parti Melayu and everything. But the fact of the matter is, I believe in national parties. We're not Parti Melayu, we're national parties. Why? I believe instead of Sarawakians just being jago kampung, I want to challenge myself to take leadership positions, leadership influence in a national level. And that is why I push, and I'm actually the national youth leader for my party. I'm the national youth leader for Pakatan Harapan. And I want to show that Sarawakians, we can take a lead. Kita bukan saja jaga kampung. Yes, I believe in, of course, in concept Sarawak first, but let's expand Sarawak. So that is why I'm in my position. I believe that, because, okay, let me tell you a personal story, why I was challenged with this. First term in Parliament, I remember one time, we stand up debates, we take our turn to debates, and there was a Sarawakian MP, I won't mention his name, he was debating, and he was bringing up his issues like, kawasan kita nak, saya harap menteri akan mempertimbangkan membawa jalan raya ke hospital ke kawasan. These are very important debates. But I woke up, nobody called inside, I went up to the toilet, and I heard the pegawai kerajaan, I heard the civil servants, and they were saying this, say, YB Sarawak, mereka cuma cakap tentang isu-isu kawasan saja. So I heard that. And then for me, right, we are always very angry when so-called West Malaysians around look down on us or put us aside. And I'm angry as well because my parents grew up in the civil. My parents were civil servants. They went through a lot. Of course, I'm saying these are some bad apples. Not everybody is bad. But you see, sometimes as angry we are with this discrimination of people, but sometimes we maybe give them the reason to think that we are, or make a cakap tentang Sarawak. So I challenge myself. I say, you know what? I'm a Sarawakian. I love Sarawak. I mean, it's not stuff going through my veins. But I want to show that when I debate in Parliament, I can debate on national issues that is good for the country and good for Sarawak. So that is why I debate on healthcare. People say you should talk more about Sarawak rights. I do. Healthcare is Sarawak rights. Education is Sarawak rights. Let us not isolate ourselves. And I'm not saying that all these things are not important. But we Sarawakians can expand and take leadership even on a national level. I want to see a Sarawakian Prime Minister. And not just for the sake of, kita nak bagi quota kepada orang Sarawak. I don't like the idea. I don't like the concept of quota. I want to be given leadership because I deserve it. I want Sarawakians to be given leadership because they deserve it, not just because they're Sarawakians. And And this is my personal belief, and this is my challenge to Sarawakians as a whole. There's what Joanna mentioned about MA63 and rights. This is without a doubt, this is important. We need to understand history, we need to understand where we're coming from. But moving forward, there's always two sides to a coin. One is our rights, and the other side is my favorite mantra, which is good governance. You see, you mentioned that MA63 is the top of the elites. And the reason why is because the general public, when they are poor, when they are sidelined and marginalized, what is there to talk about MA63? I nak makan, I tak ada makan, I tak ada air bersih and everything. See, rights is only as important if it's translated into good policies that help the people on the ground. And that is when we as leaders, as politicians, we need to explore and expand. You see, there is no point for rights or greater allocations into Sarawak if we do not have good governance and transparency and accountability in Sarawak. And that's where I play my role in my party. Yes, we may have some kepalahan, well, very fast, but I believe that the way to reach what we need is good governance. Good governance is getting a 2 ringgit project for 1 ringgit. Bad governance is getting a 1 ringgit project at 5 ringgit, tapi masih tak siap-siap lagi. And that, trust me, is the biggest problem of Sarawak. We have, okay, I'm not saying that we have enough allocation and everything. Yes, we are lacking. But what have we fully done? And this is my idea, what have we fully done about what we have? And that is where, as we are fighting for rights, we need to fight equally, if not more importantly, for good governance. And we Sarawakians can export that to our fellow Malaysians. Let us show an example. We have, our biggest asset is diversity. Okay, but there's only so much you can talk about diversity. Diversity is the foundation for good governance. When we can accept one another, we can accept people's merits for what they are and their abilities, that's the foundation for good governance. But there's only cukup lah if every time we talk about diversity. Let's move on to the second one, which is competency. Let's export competency. Let people see, oh, Sarawakian leaders bagus, bakar yang baik, quality yang baik. That is what I believe is the Sarawak identity, and the Sarawak identity I want to have. That when civil servants in parliament, when they walk up, oh, YB Sarawak, semua perbahasan bagus. Oh, very constructive, the way they bring things, the way they serve people. That for me will influence, and that for me is the Sarawak identity I want, and the Malaysian identity. Because now, as I said, it's the best country that we have. We have, as I said, community government, we have a demanding power, but yet let us not just demand for the sake of demand, let us exemplify and inspire our fellow Malaysians. Thank you.
Thank you, Abdul. Rampas, you have the last word. What is Sarawak identity to you? Where does it sit within the bigger picture of Malaysian identity? And how can we, based on the Sarawak experience, help Malaysia back to the moderate path?
Thank you, Prof. Now I'm facing the same challenge that Kelvin was facing this out. Okay, I'll try to simplify, and I might be taking some points from the three of our panelists. I think the most important thing is, first, okay, we need to appreciate and understand history. Not only Sarawak, the whole Malaysia. We need to appreciate and understand it, which is Sarawak, Sabah, and Peninsula Malaysia formed Malaysia in 1963. That is a fact. We need to appreciate it, and we need to understand it. And how did we go about in doing it? We had an agreement. An agreement is a document that needs to be upheld. That is the essence of an agreement. And that agreement, which was agreed by Sabah, Sarawak, and Peninsula, end up forming Malaysia. Okay, we must understand and appreciate that first, because that is a fact. The whole of Malaysia, not only Sarawak. And now we should understand what we are trying to do, which is kita ingin mempertahankan dan mengambil semula hak yang telah termaktub dalam MA63. We are not asking for more. We are not asking for less. We are just asking for what has been agreed in the MA63. We need to understand and appreciate it. Not only Sarawak, but Peninsula. Sebab kadang-kadang kita mendengar rungutan daripada rakan-rakan from Semenanjung, apalah Sarawak ni? minta a lot of things. Please understand and appreciate we are not asking for more than what we deserve. For more, what have been stated in the Malaysia Agreement 1963. So we need to understand and appreciate that. That is very important. And the next thing for Sarawakian or Bornean to understand is how it benefits us. How does the fight benefit us, Sarawakian and Sabahan? What does it mean by fighting for our rights? So we need to understand and appreciate that as well. So what does it mean to the local people in the street, in the kampung? What does fighting for MA63 means? I'll try to wrap it up in a nutshell. Okay, that means more income for the state, more development for the state. With more income, then we can have more program for the state, more foundation for the state to start off, to embark in new adventure. And the new adventure will open up opportunities to all of the young people. Like I said, in 30 years down the road, we're going to need most jobs which are available now might not be available in 30 years down the road. So we need to prepare ourselves. And that is what we are doing with the stream of income which we have fought through MA63. We are looking into diverse income stream. We are looking at new technologies. We are looking at new adventure to ensure that 30 years down the road, anak-anak muda Sarawak, anak-anak muda Sabah mempunyai peluang untuk maju jaya. Contoh, Sarawak is talking about carbon storage. Sarawak is talking about hydrogen. Sarawak is talking about carbon trading. These are new streams of income. These are new technology that will benefit Sarawak and will give opportunity to the younger generation. Jadi, dengan kepimpinan yang melihat kepada pembaharuan, dengan menggunakan the stream of income that we fought in MA63, look, this is what we are trying to provide for you. Okay? Dan yang seterusnya, to ensure towards a united Malaysia. I would prefer the word united Malaysian rather than moderate Malaysia. What is very important is for us to understand where do we come from and where do other people come from, their background. When you understand this, then you understand what is he fighting for. Jadi bila kita kenal where he's coming from, then we understand. Oh, patutlah yang raya, because the experience that he faced in the rural, tak ada air. Sebab itulah dia bising. When we understand, then we can communicate moderately. If we don't understand, I will stick to my principle. Without understanding you, we'll end up fighting. Sampai pagi pun saya habis. So that's why it's important for us to understand where does the other person coming from. Because he faced different challenges. He was raised in a different background, different religion. We need to understand that, appreciate that. Then only we can talk to each other. That is very important from my point of view. And also, I agree with YB Kelvin. Politics should have less drama. In order for us to have our own identity, it should be boring, you know? Because I can stand here in 100 people in a room, I will say, I will stand here to my last drop of blood, I will defend Sarawak. I will ensure that our rights will be fulfilled for you, for all generations of Sarawakian. The 100 people will listen to me. And when I talk about that, this is what we are going to do. First, this is our strategy. We are going to fight because we have achieved this. 50% of the room already picking up the phone, playing games already. Then, no, it was not no, it's just an example. I mean, the 50% of the people in the room will start thinking about the things already. No more drama, no more interesting, man. just simple things. And these are the policies that we have discussed, and these are the challenges that we are facing. So boring already. No need to listen. End up 3, 4, 5 people listening. End of the day, only one person angkat tangan. Oh, sometimes asking, this one, when are we going to have lunch? That kind of thing. So that is the challenges that we face. Itu nomor satu. Dan yang kedua, the challenge that we face now, because when I come here, like I said, with Joanne, as an athlete, we have an aim and objective. So we have strategized. So this is the thing that we should do to achieve the objective. So last night I was thinking, so maybe the main target market is our youth. So I would like to, I hope that the things that I share can be beneficial to the youth. So, to the youth, we have a lot of challenges. We have a lot of challenges, one of which now youth are very scared to make mistakes. Why? Because of the media social influence. You make one mistake, you'll be cancelled. I mean, that's the term that they are using, cancel. You know, people will, viral, people will have a go at you. I mean, for us, politicians, it's normal for us. I mean, maybe we can manage it properly. But listen, the youth from the age of 16, 17, 18, lagi muda sila tu. When you cancel them, when you attack them with hurt stories, bad experience happening to this group of age because of the constant attack in the media social. So that is the challenges that we are facing. So the youth out there, not only the youth, the netizens out there, for us to have an identity, we need to look at the important things in life as well, which is life itself. How can we do things that we know for sure will affect the life of another? That is basic, ladies and gentlemen. So that's why it's important we start off with the basic things in life, to do good things to others, to construct, to critique constructively, and at least to agree to disagree. That is the most important thing. Okay? Because that is what it is right now. What's happening in the media social, that could not be our identity. I think Malaysia ranked number one in, whenever there's an issue in the media social, I think our netizen would rank one to really cancel a person, cancel the term that you did. Okay? And then, I mean, Malaysians are so plugged in the media social that sometimes it's a bit dangerous to the society actually. And of course, with experience, like we were talking about, we have to have young leaders to construct policies, and for them to ensure to come up with good policies, they have to have good experience on the ground, on little things that matters to individual, to society. Little things like bantuan persekolahan, little things like parit tersumbat, little things like bekalan elektrik terputus. These are the little things that we need to understand and appreciate for us to come up with better policies and for us to fight for better policies. That is another thing that I want to share. And lastly, like I said, it is the youth should, should be willing to make mistakes. And like I said, the politics should kembali kepada asal, menjadi politik yang boring. It's thought versus action. So we should policy driven. We should be looking at the achievement of one individual or one party or one member of representative, the state representative, MP. We should be looking at what they have achieved we should be looking at the strategy that they have laid down. And we look at the strategy PK, logic kesit strategi. And in order for us dapat berfikir secara logik sama ada satu-satu polisi itu, logik atau tidak sudah tentu kita harus mempunyai pengalaman dan ilmu. That is another totally different kind of story lagi lah. Education, that's the most important thing. So the youth leaders should have education. They should have bravery. They should have courage to say what they feel. But before you say what you feel, you should be having facts and figures and research before you say anything else. And when you talk about things, we don't talk about generalized things, looking at things 20 feet from up there. We should be looking at things 3 feet from down here, so that we know what's really going on the ground. We know what are the challenges faced by the government to implement such policies. So we know what are the people facing on the ground, so we can be the mediator or medium to improve such system. There's no perfect system in the world. There are flaws and there are no perfect people in the world, and there are flaws. We should appreciate and understand that, so that we don't get frustrated when we don't get things, when we don't get what we want. But we should strive to look into how we can improve things. We should strive to look into how we can work together to improve the overall system to benefit the people. So with that, we should have that kind of mindset for us to have that identity, the identity of a Sarawakian, which benefit the whole Malaysia. A prosperous Sarawak will contribute to a better Malaysia. I think I conclude that. Thank you once again to all of you.
Thank you very much for having us. We've come to the end of the forum. I'm sure you all agree with me that the last 2 hours was a really learning experience for all of us. So on behalf of TSI, I would like to thank our panelists, and can I ask all of you to thank our panelists in the usual way? I'd like to hand the floor back to our MC.
All right, thank you, Dr. James Chin and the panelists for the very insightful discussion and for sharing with us your political journeys and also experiences. I believe that it is an eye-opener for all the guests here, especially the youth present, that there is no conventional way to getting involved in politics. When you are a part of the system, then you are a part of the politics. So moving forward, we will now move to the next session, which is our presentation of gift or token of appreciation to all our guests of honor. So we would like to invite Mr. Sidi Munan to hand over the gifts. So the gifts are book written by Sidi Munan on History Book of Sarawak Attire. So we would like to invite Mr. Sidi Munan. And then first we would like to call out on YB Dato' Jara Rentap Jabu to receive the token of appreciation. We also would like to invite Heidi Munan to be present as well.
Can I chop this one for
Right now, I would like to invite one of our panelists, which is YB Fazzrudin, sorry. Next, we would like to invite YB Kelvin Yi. Next will be YB Miro Simuh. Last but not least, Miss Joanna Su. Alright, that ends our session for today. Now we will move on to our photo taking session. So the media team will guide you on where to stand, where to move it. Alright, now last but not least is our moderator, Professor Fazzrudin. Alright, so now we will proceed to photo taking session. Now we would like to invite the aspiring leaders to come up and take a picture.
What's his name again? You still need me to. You still need the footage one, because I'm going up to take picture. It's okay.
Sini tu.
The white key.
Yeah, the white. It is the white. To left tu sini, pak cita left. Biar.